Right, guys, so I'm going to make a video today based on parenting and some of the negative parenting strategies I had to experience growing up. I'm going to speak about my father and why I disagree with the way he parented me. Okay, so my dad was very kind of strict, uptight, rigid type of guy. He's not the type of guy you'd want to have a good time with, if you know what I mean. So his emphasis was always, yeah, I am looking at a bit of a script, a few bullet points, but I don't think there's anything wrong with doing that, as long as you admit that you're doing that. But anyway, so he wanted me to get good grades. That was my purpose in life. I had to go into university. And if I didn't get good grades to go to university, then I was classed a failure. Okay, and it even got to the point where I remember the summers when I was 16, 17. I wanted to get a summer job. My dad was always like, "No, study, study, stay home, study all day." I just felt like that was a bit ridiculous. You know what I mean? So now look, when I was 17, I did an IQ test. I got 70, which means 98% of the population has a higher IQ than me. He completely ignored this fact and just said, "Right, study, study, go to university," and he didn't seem to think. You know, he said, "Oh, going to McDonald's or working a job like that isn't a good option." When I was being lazy and I wasn't studying, my dad said, "Oh, if you keep going like this, you'll end up selling popcorn at the cinema." Well, I had no problem selling popcorn at the cinema. He was the one who had a problem with me selling popcorn at the cinema. But because he's a narcissist. Narcissists very care a lot about what other people think of them. They want to feel superior to others, and you know, if he, because if I end up working selling popcorn or McDonald's or something, then people will look at him and think, oh, it's partly his fault. He's a bad parent, and that'll have a negative impact on his ego, and he doesn't want that. And I remember even he telling people that I got 195 points in the Leaving Cert, and he was looking down, head down, looked embarrassed, and I'm like, why are you embarrassed? I'm not embarrassed. That's just where I was at the time. So, you know, um, the thing is, he forced me to go down this path for his own, to boost his own ego. It wasn't about me at all. It wasn't about my own good. I never told him that I wanted to make loads of money. I didn't. Having grown up in Blackrock, I felt like, having all this money was a bit ridiculous. Buying fancy cars, never into that stuff. I never told my dad that I wanted to buy a big fancy house. I never told him that I wanted to buy a big fancy car. I never told him that I wanted to be rich. But he just threw me down this path anyway. Oh, study, study, so go to university, go to university. And that's just the way it was, and that's one thing I don't agree with. And so I got 195 points in my Leaving Cert, and I went to college because I was pressured by my parents. Really, any sensible parent would have said, right, studying is not your thing. Maybe just get a job at McDonald's or selling popcorn at the cinema. And maybe if you want to improve your IQ, maybe read for half an hour a day or something, and do that for maybe a year, and then maybe consider it next year if your IQ improves. Okay, because it wasn't lack of effort; it was just IQ was too low. It was very low. So, all right. So yeah, he spent loads of money on me going to private schools. Went from private school from the age of 4 to 18. So I'd be and when I went to a secondary school, it was all geared towards me doing well in the Leaving Cert. It was all geared about going to university, college, whatever you want to call it. You know what I mean? So we had after school study for hours every day. We had a career guidance classes, which was I think on a Thursday once a week, or maybe it was twice a week. It was all about what college course you're going to do. It was never any talk about anything else other than what college course you're going to do. Because where I went to school, if you do anything other than go to university, you're seen as a failure. Okay, and I just don't agree with that at all. I really think it's just a scam. At the end of the day, it's just the education system. Secondary schools and universities are part of the education system. They're linked, so it's in the secondary school's best interest to boost the reputation of the universities. Okay, and personally, they're doing it for their own good, selfish reasons. They're not trying to help the population at all. So is there anything else to say about that? Yeah, it's just damaged our relationship. He'd be shouting and screaming at me to do some study, and we just fell out after a while. He even said to me at one stage, "Look, if you're not going to work hard at your studies, then get lost." I don't want to know you. And I saw that as my cue to leave because my parents were separated. My dad was living in Blackrock, my mother was living in Carrickmines. I decided to move to Carrickmines, stay there because my mother wasn't as pushy on the whole education thing. So yeah, this is just a video. I'm sure I'm not trying to act the victim here or anything. I'm sure loads of people who grew up in my area would have had parents like this, and it's just sad. It needs to stop. Let your kids decide for themselves what they want to do with their lives. Okay.